So you can introduce yourself and say you are, tell the audience who you
Oh,
are.
I'm Jay Snead, CEO of Wealth Builder Mastermind Group and 5 other online businesses.
Perfect. I'm Roderick Perry, the son of a partner of
Mhm.
Jay Snead. Just here to learn a little bit more, give you a proper interview or conversation, really, about
All
finances
right,
and stocks.
let's do it.
So you mentioned earning season. You said this is the best time. It's probably most exciting for those into the stock market. Can you break that down and explain what earning season is?
Yeah, so in the stock market, all corporations get a scorecard, and it's just like a football game, 4 quarters, or school where you get report card each quarter. What each corporation does is they get goals by Wall Street, and so they either meet their goals or they fall short of the goals. And based on what the goals are, either the stocks will go up or the stocks will go down. What I do is I have perfected a way to go in and just by learning and watching the market, you're able to make a lot of money. But there are nuances to everything. And so each wealth builder or person in the stock market, they have their own way of doing it. But I've learned from a lot of top-notch Wall Street investors. And so I'm a math person by nature. Math,
Mhm.
the numbers don't lie. And when you are able to put two and two together, or, I just have a way of making money. So I can't explain it. Like I said, I just know how to get paid.
Some people have that gift. I mean, some more than others. But I think obviously you creating the platform that you have is to, I assume, spread some of this knowledge and experience that you have to others that aren't quite fit or aren't quite as talented or great with numbers.
Correct,
Correct?
and, when you really look at it, I was thinking about this today. Most people wanna free up their time, and they say, "I wanna be a millionaire," or, "I wanna make money," or, "I wanna do those things." So, what I always say is, if you're casual about life, you'll end up a casualty, and nobody's gonna
Mhm.
put your best interest more than you, and so I was taught by a lot of mentors, they said, "Jay, don't major in minor things, major in major things." I'm always saying, if you want to be a millionaire, study millionaires, hang around millionaires. So I have built up a lot of knowledge, but a lot of proof, positive, with my clients that have told other people that have told other people. Always be A+ on top of my game. So I study the best of the best. And then I go beyond that. My mentors in the stock market were the top, and I tracked them down. And so I learned from them, capitalized on it, and then even perfected it so that I could go on. And now I just go, now I'm helping others do it. When I decided to share the wealth, it was for a reason. And, I want to make sure that the people that want to succeed will succeed. And knowledge is power. And to free up your
Mhm.
time, this is one of those times where at the end of the day, I like to say the internet is the great equalizer because you don't have to ask anybody to do anything. And the internet favors
Right.
the most aggressive, and it
Yes,
favors the most knowledgeable. And so
that's
that's
true.
why, you can start your own business. You can do all of those things. All you have to do is ask. And you ask someone smarter than you, and you ask enough people, there's somebody that's going to help you. That way you go on and you don't have to tell anybody, because every expert wasn't an expert when they started,
Of course.
right? And so, but you have to know that up front. And so it's just making the time to figure out what life you want to live.
In your opinion, because you said you just have to ask if you want to own a business, you want to make $1 million. A lot of people are afraid to do so. Why do you think that is?
I always think about this, and Carter G. Woodson, since this is Black History Month, he has a quote that, there are two things I always think about in the back of my mind. And what he said was, He said, if you control what a man shall think, you never have to be concerned about what he will do. If you make a man feel
Mm.
inferior, you don't have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. If you make a man feel like he's an outcast, you don't have to order him to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there is no door, his nature will demand one. So there are people that think they can't succeed. And the mentality in this society kind of makes you think that this is not for you. This is why there's a lot of people that spend $50,000 to make $20 an hour. $50,000 in college to make $20 an hour, right? College
Right.
prepares you to be a worker, not an entrepreneur, right? And
Right.
so when people think of what he said and you say, you know what? I'm not going to make anybody, I'm going to control me, right? And so the other thing I think about, you're going to control yourself, which means you're going to take control of your time and you're going to make yourself be smarter than the next person or whatever. And the things you do for yourself will always benefit you. I always ask, like, why don't people wash rental cars before they turn them in?
Why don't they wash rental
Yeah,
cars before they
do
turn them
people
in?
wash their rental cars before they turn them in? No, because they don't own them,
Well,
right? So
right.
people don't own their own situation. They don't own their job. This is why when there are riots in a community, they burn the community down because they don't own it.
They don't own it. There's no effect
Exactly.
to them on that.
Same with life. Same thing, right? People don't want to own the job. They don't want to own responsibility. When you own your responsibility, then you don't have anybody else to blame, right? So these are the
Right.
kind of
Right.
easy things to do. But what I always say, the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. And so it's
Okay.
easy to play PlayStation and it's easy to learn how to do a podcast, how to start a business. Even when I was in the Air Force, I was always told by a mentor of mine, he said, Jay, you're going places. When you go into a room, make sure not that you belong there, but everybody knows you belong there when you walk into
Mhm.
the room. And so I never forgot that. And so a lot of times, even over the years, I've trained myself when I go into situations, I'm so prepared that within 5 minutes, the people know I'm prepared. They'll say, you know what? I don't know what it is about this dude, but I gotta know that cat, or he's
Yeah.
he's on the ball, he's sharp, those kind of things. And so I
Mhm.
make sure of that without even saying, I won't ask, I'm not going to say anything out loud, but in general conversation with people, they will know in a quick instant that A, I belong there, B, I know what I'm talking about, and C, maybe you need to learn something from me.
With 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 that confidence and preparation, where does that stem from? Was that something that developed through I know you were in the military. Does it develop through that type of structure, or was this something you just naturally had since you were younger?
Being competitive in sports, but also my mother and my aunt, my mother raised me at the beginning, but then my aunt and other family members raised me from when I was about 12 or 13. But my mother gave me life lessons and my grandmother gave me life lessons. And what my mother used to
Mhm.
tell me is she used to say, Jay, when people define you, they confine you. Don't let people put you in a box. Create your own box. And so
Right.
she knows when people put a label on you, they'll keep that label on you for 150 years. So don't let people put you in a box because they're very good at putting you in a box. And make sure don't let people define yourself. Over the years, I could tell when it's like people at the job will say, "Oh, you know what? He's all right, but he's not CEO material." Or, "Oh, this person, he could do this job, but he may not be a management material." Or those kind of things. The second you hear
Right.
that, if you tell me I can't be the CEO of the job, I don't need to be there,
No.
right? Or maybe I'll just get if you tell me that, I'll know just enough to say, okay, well, I'll just get the knowledge I need here to move on to my next job. So I'm just going to do a building block and keep moving. A lot of people don't move. They don't create their own, they don't create their own path, or they don't look at things exactly what they are. Maya Angelou, she said, look, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Believe them.
Right? Don't unbelieve them.
Believe them.
And so, right. And so
Believe them.
those kind of things are what we need to know. And we need to look at it for what it is. And especially younger people, this is why, YouTube is popular,
Mhm.
Instagram, all of those things. But the internet is, like I said, the great equalizer. Albert Einstein said that people only use 10% of their brain. And he said even he used only 10%. He said he wished he could be past the 10%. And
Mhm.
so those are the kind of things I think about. I go, you know what? How do I spend my time? And when I spend my time, I make it count so that I can free up my time. And so the stock market is a way to build not only wealth, but generational wealth. Having a business, wealth, but only generational wealth. Hanging around people that are going in the direction you want to be. I'm trying to remember who said it, but they said, "Hey, if you're the smartest person in your group, time to get a new group." Right?
Okay.
Always go somewhere.
That's a good.
Yeah, go somewhere where you're not the smartest person. And these people will tell you. They said, even when I was in the military, they said, "Dave, if you want to be a thief, ask a thief. You want to be a doctor, ask a doctor. If you want to be a millionaire, ask a millionaire."
It's funny you use that quote because I for a second I thought you were going to reference somebody. My dad told me that you were recently told about Nipsey Hussle through my cousin, and Nipsey actually has a quote. He did an interview, and they asked him was he the smartest in his room, and he said absolutely not. He said he may be the dumbest, and it's interesting because obviously he's the face of his camp, or he was the face of his camp, but he had everyone around him, his brother, his management team, his camp, they all knew more outside to be able to help him build what they were trying to build together. So that's a very solid point that you said that, because that, I mean, most successful people view life that
Right.
way.
And see, when your cousin mentioned Nipsey Hussle, I went back and researched him because I was
Yeah.
familiar with his music, but I wasn't that deep into his. I was more into Snoop, right, or my generation. But
Yeah.
when I saw Nipsey Hussle, I said, okay, that is why people gravitate toward him. He was a businessman. Now, when I was in Crenshaw,
Yes.
I would be in, I lived in San Diego, and I would be in L.A. quite a bit, and I would be in Crenshaw because there was a black memorabilia spot over in Crenshaw. I would pass by his shop and all of those things. I knew where it was, but I never
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
would go in there. But I can respect Nipsey, and and that's why I said that was a blind spot for me. But it connects me now to the younger generation because I can connect the dots. And he said a lot of truthful things. And I mean, timeless things.
Absolutely. You you mentioned the quote about using more than 10% of your brain, or only using 10%. To me, it's funny as you say that. I feel like the younger generation, especially those that are of my nature that went to college and thought we were following the American dream, listening what they told us to do, we feel maybe lied to. We feel like they didn't tell us everything. There was some information that was left out. That 10%, in my opinion, extending past that is doing stuff with the stock market and being a part of something like this, because I don't think I think we're fearful of investing because we're so big on making sure we have
Hmm.
money that we're scared to lose it or invest it into something that can make us more. In your personal opinion, why do you feel that is the case with younger kids, younger generation, or the generation of yours? Why are we fearful of investing? And then why is it important to do so?
Well, most kids coming up. So let's say you're born 2000 or 1990s, right? And so
Mhm.
people remember the housing crisis, the stock market crash of 1989, all of those things. And so they see the parents working. There are a lot of one parent households or both parents working. This generation, though, I was born in the 60s. So my parents just did just enough to make any kind of dollar. once I got of age and started growing up, and then my kids, I did a little bit better, right? And so now this generation or the 30-year-olds, they see their parents, and so they want to do a little bit better. And so now, as we're growing, the things that we don't know in the African American community is the expendable income piece, the generational wealth piece, the finance. We don't talk about money per se from the stock market because people think it's confusing or it's hard. And there's a reason people don't show you the stock market or people don't talk about finances. And so this is where learning the game or learning how people make money, finance is one of those things that we should, as a community, learn, because this does build generational wealth, foundational wealth. And when you do a simple Google search and it says most millionaires, they invest in the stock market. They do a
Mhm.
lot. So they have a business, they invest, and then they do real estate. But I just actually was watching a show Friday. In Miami, every year there's a group called Tiger 21. And Tiger 21 are the richest of the rich.
In that area, or are they bringing
All
people
over
together
the
to
world.
meet
Yeah,
and
there's a person that owns it, and it's like a Lindsey Vonn, Drake, people like that.
okay,
They're Tiger 21 members.
right.
And what the Tiger 21 founder said was, there are a lot of, he noticed, he said when he first started it, there were people in their 50s, 60s. Now there are people in their 30s in that group. Taylor Swift, people like that.
Yeah,
Multimillionaires, things like that. Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, these
of
people
course.
like that. One of the questions they asked was, what do you invest in? What does the filthy rich invest in? And a lot of them do private equity, like Shark Tank now. Like they find businesses that they can invest in to
Invest
and
in,
so
make a
that's
profit.
part
Yeah,
that came out of the stock market. So when you're wealthy, Shark Tank is popular for a reason, because these millionaires know that private equity, you got to spend money to make money. And they know
of
that
course.
ideas, when you find those moonshots, and so it's an investment and it's a private investment. Even in the stock market, it's the same principle. There are average investors, and then there are good investors, then there are great investors. And the great investors don't say anything. The stock market is that scary thing where people think they're going to lose money. But once you understand it, it's a way to have you control your time, control your life. Because when you have money and you can do things on your own, the internet, like I said, is like it's the great equalizer, and you can be your own CEO today. If you have a business, if you have a podcast, if you have, anything you want to do, you better know investments.
Hmm.
You better know how to make your money make money.
I mean, you make an interesting point with the internet. I'm sure many people that have joined your group, coming to speak to you and learn, have probably done their own research a little bit on the stock market, maybe practiced themselves, and maybe just use the internet for the information that they gathered. What makes you different than what someone can look up on the internet? Why your group? What makes your information different than what someone maybe try to find on the
Because
internet?
that's a very good question, because what makes it unique? I've attended a lot of seminars, online seminars. I spent a lot of money and I listen to people and learn from them. One of the things about starting a business is been to those seminars where people say, I'm going to teach you how to do a business. I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm going to teach you how to do that. And then people come in and they take a lot of notes, but then at the end, all they have is a lot of notes. Right?
Okay.
It's the actual implementation. In the stock market, I didn't really offer to show people how to do the stock market until I had mastery of it. And mastery means I had my own unique way of doing it. And so when I went and saw
Right.
other people, I spent money watching people on TV that said, "Oh, they're gonna help me do this. They're gonna help me do that. Oh, I'm gonna make millions." I was only in the
Yeah,
course
right.
just to see what they taught, how they taught it. Once again, I see a lot of people and they struggle, and what they didn't do, what I do is I break it down very simple terms that you can implement it right away. And I make it to where I connect the dots for people, and then I actually give them the stocks. Whereas a lot of these other courses and stuff, they do not give you the stocks unless you pay for each
Right.
stock ticker,
Of
right?
course.
And
Of
so
course.
I give you the stocks, and then I show you exactly what I use, how I use it, and then I break down in great detail how to research a stock, what makes a good stock, what makes a bad stock, and then all those little things on how to make money. And then not only, and then keep it, but then keep it for a lifetime and then turn it into generational wealth to where you can give it to your kids, your grandkids. And the way I tell people is I said, once you learn it, you don't unlearn it. This is why I start with the history of stocks and I start with the foundation of money and those sorts of things. And then I connect all the dots. So it's interesting to see, like in this group, I'm watching people from all walks of life, all different ages. I take feedback and you take it seriously because you want everything to be better and to evolve. And so I listen to everybody, and then you change it for the better for the group, and sooner or later you have a fine-tuned machine, and so the thing I like about it, what makes me different is it's word of mouth. That's the best referral there is, right? When people tell you, they say, "Hey, I didn't know anything about, but I'm not scared of it now. I know now, right? I know
Right.
this and I know that." And so those are the things that I like. And I said, "Hey, I want people to know it just as well as me, to where they may just have their own wealth building business, those kind of things, and those sorts of things." And it's awesome.
Good. That's good. I think you may have answered all the questions for me today. Um, I appreciate you having me here to be able to talk to you
Yeah.
about it. I'm sure we may speak in another time on a little bit more in depth about option trading, some little verbiage that we might
Yeah.
not be familiar with. But yeah,
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.